Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to do a follow-up on the Bari Weiss situation. We've been talking about how Bari Weiss is now in charge of CBS News. Everybody is losing their poop. I think I can say that early enough into the video. Everybody's losing their poop. And now apparently the writers union is telling their members not to listen to Bari Weiss.
Well, let's see how that goes.
We'll see how that
Bold
goes.
strategy.
Yeah, right. We'll see how it goes. So we're going to take a look at this article from Fox. And yeah, I know there's going to be resistance. I did a video the other day where they were saying that she was the gateway for the MAGA curious.
I don't know when you said that. I was like, what does that
MAGA
even
curious. They're flipping out because this is just like, you know, what we talked about earlier with the male gaze returning and everything. It's basically the far left had control of all the media for 10 to 15 years. They're losing it all almost
going
overnight.
Back to normal when they're mad.
Yes, things are going back to normal. They're not. It's not even going right wing. Bari Weiss is a gay Jewish woman. She's a traditional liberal, right?
So we are too, but somehow that means you're an alt-right Yahtzee.
Yep, she's Gen X like us, and they're mad. She worked for the New York Times for years, and she didn't get pushed out. She was made. Well, she left on her own, but they made it as uncomfortable as possible for her because she's basically like the New York Times has turned into a cult. And
well, yeah, so has social media, so has the internet. I mean, I don't think people would argue with that. In the last 10, 15 years, everything has become very cult-like. Either it's like, which flavor cult are you? But the blue cult has been crazy.
Yeah. So let's talk about how crazy this is, because this kind of happened at Twitter too, when Elon Musk was like, "Hey, what did you do?" And at the government too, where he's like, "Hey, what'd you do this week?" Very normal thing to ask. Actually, most corporate jobs I've had, I had to give reports. Some of them I had to give daily reports. At the end of the day, I had to tell them what I did because they want to know what they're paying for, right?
Sometimes it's billable, it's by billable hours, and you need to let them know so they know how much time for each thing too,
15-minute increments. You had to document, I worked for this client for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and that had to go on your timesheet so they knew to bill that client for your time. That's just how it works.
It's not unusual.
But apparently it is if it's a free-for-all over at CBS News, so let's talk about it. Just quit, right? Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com. Sign up for notifications. When we post new videos, you will get notified via email, because you're not going to get notified over on YouTube because they kind of suck about letting people know when you're posting content now. Also, we have paywalled content, and there's more coming. So thank you very much. You said about people quitting. I think they're going to quit, or they're going to. Here's the problem. When you have people that do not want to play ball with the new boss, those people are a liability and they need to go, because they're going to undermine you. They're going to make things as difficult as possible for you, and they're going to be anti-help. They're going to be an impediment.
If you have a job and you're being told to do something as part of your job, and then, you're not going to do your job, they're going to be like, well, you're being, you're not being compliant. You're deliberately being, difficult. And they're going to get rid of you. And I don't care if the union tells you to. You're just hastening the demise. All it's the inevitable situation. If you're not going to do it, they're going to get fired, whether the union says to do it or not.
Yeah. So this is coming from Fox, right? New CBS boss Bari Weiss tells her staff to explain what they do during work hours, which I think is a very reasonable thing, especially for a new boss coming in.
You mean they're not going to accept I spent 5 hours on Blue Sky and X?
5 hours on Blue Sky bitching about you, Barry. Look what you made me do. But union urges defiance. Writers Guild tells employees to ignore Weiss's memo request until network answers questions about potential consequences. Interesting. This is the union getting. I think they're definitely overstepping their bounds, and I think they're going to get themselves.
Is this going to hasten the dismissal? I mean,
absolutely.
Quit. They're not going to quit, because where else are they going to go? Because everything's going back to center, and it's not. And then by threatening this, it's not going to change anything, because they brought her in to try to bring it back to center, because they're more interested in her and bring it back to center than they are you, in your opinion.
So, yeah, this is the Writers Guild of America East. We know we've covered them, East and West, and these are the same people that had a shit fit about, Drew Barrymore having her show, and they wanted in the West and California, they wanted to have a certain number of writers in the writers' room, even though it didn't make financial sense. Now we have way fewer shows, so congratulations. Now they want to be the boss of Bari Weiss, right? So CBS News should be in for an interesting week. Staffers from the network's news division have until Tuesday to explain what they do during work hours to their new boss, editor-in-chief Bari Weiss. But the Writers Guild of America East, which represents some CBS News employees, has urged staffers not to respond until the network answers some questions.
Well, here's my thing, though. The fact that they're asking you to explain what you do during work hours, to me, implies that there's some question about how much time is spent not working during work hours.
Exactly.
That's what, to the normie person, that's what it sounds like.
What is going to happen, and when we're seeing this more and more with these unions, where they overstep what their role is, right? Historically, unions were pushing for better working conditions for their employees, better health
people
insurance.
Working 18 hours a day, and they were being treated terribly and stuff like that. That's why we started having unions.
Right, but now they want to basically run the company. That's what's going on. They want to tell the studios, in the case of Hollywood, how many people have to be employed that they all collect dues from. How many people have to be employed on a show? They want to tell Drew Barrymore she can't run her show at all, even without writers, even though she was doing everything by the book or whatever, or they're going to cancel her. And now they want to tell CBS News to go pound sand because they're mad about Bari Weiss. But any other job, if your boss says, "What did you do?" you need to give your boss an answer, or you might be out on the street.
Yeah, because no job's going to let you sit there all day and play as social media activist for. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but I'm going to bet they're doing, playing social media activist for hours on end and thinking you should get paid for it, and not doing your actual work.
This is a very reasonable request. So I think I told this story before, and I'll tell it again because not everybody watches every video or whatever. But I actually was brought in my 20s to fix a failing newspaper.
You liar, because you've never done anything journalism.
Yeah, I know, right? So I was brought in to fix this paper, and I told you, when I went in, the first thing I did was I talked to all the writers, and I'm like, what do you do? What's working? What's not working? Because I needed to know what I needed to fix, right? And I also,
where they're coming from too.
Right. And I also wanted to know, I'm going to be honest, I wanted to know who was going to be on my side and who was going to be difficult. And I found a few writers that were clearly going to be difficult. And I found a way to get rid of them because I did not need the extra aggravation of having to.
One wasn't even doing their job.
They weren't even doing their job. Yeah. And she was very loyal to the previous editor who I replaced. And that's great. But I'm like, one, you're going to go spy. I know you're going to spy and you're going to run back to her because she got fired for incompetence. And two, you're not going to play ball with me because you're mad that your friend isn't your boss anymore. And, my job is I'm working for the publisher, and I was brought in to make this thing profitable and make it work. And if you get my way, you got to go. I mean, that's just the way it works, right? And
Great.
that's how
good news for me, guys.
Huh? If you get my way, you got to go. Oh, but that's okay. You're union. You've got your own union, the Geeky Union.
The Geeky Union.
Yeah, so you don't have to answer. You can abstain from answering those questions. But Weiss, began serving as CBS's new editor-in-chief last week after Paramount CEO David Ellison officially purchased her outlet, the Free Press, $150 million for a Substack blog. I mean, holy shit. Mm-hmm. She made it clear she wants to hold both American political parties to equal scrutiny.
Which is good. I think that's a good thing. If that's what you're going to do and you follow through with it, that's a very good thing.
On Friday, she sent a note to CBS News staffers asking each member of the organization to detail what they do and what they believe is working or not working by Tuesday. That is very normal. That's a very normal thing.
I want your opinion so I can see where we need to go with this. That's a very fair thing.
Yeah, and the thing is, she could just step over you and just start firing people without giving you a chance to explain what you're doing. But I think she knows things aren't working. And she's, she got to where she was at with like a staff of a couple dozen people. And here we got CBS News with God knows how many people working there. Mm-hmm. And she's probably like, do you all need to be here? Because,
Well, she's probably tasked with downsizing it. It wouldn't surprise me.
oh, I'm sure. I was
or
too.
making it work, making it more profitable. And she's she has a job she's got to do.
If we can accomplish the same thing, the exact same results with 18 people who are actually doing their jobs versus 80 people, and many of them are just coasting. You know what I'm saying? And organizations, they just kind of keep, especially again, not to dunk on the unions, but I'm going to dunk on the unions. Unions benefit when they have more people there because they have more people paying dues, right? And, so sometimes you're going to have to look at it and just be like, look, this isn't working. I know 3/4 of you are not even doing the bare minimum. This happened with your dad too. He was in a place that was union. Didn't you tell me that?
Yeah,
he was making them look bad because he was working too hard.
He was, because he was in there he was getting stuff done, and he was doing he used to do instruments for airline. And he was doing like several a day of these instruments, and everybody else was looking bad. So they were not happy with him, because then eventually he had to do what they did, because they would get mad. So what they would do is, they'd work on one a day. He would do on Monday, like our first day of work, he'd do a whole bunch and then put them in a drawer, and every so often pull one out and say, oh, I did one, because they were mad that he was being too productive.
Yes, because what would happen is the owners of the company, the managers, would look at and be like, well, we just need more people that work like him. And we can.
Well, that's how the quickest way to get dumped on with all the work too.
Yeah, I've learned that too. Sometimes you have to do well enough to look like you're one of the best employees, but if you do too good, then you become the catch-all. You become the person that has to fix every fucking thing, and you're not getting paid enough to fix every fucking thing. And I've been in that position before too, and that sucks. It's like, yeah, you're different expectations for you versus other people. Because it's kind of like the eldest child sometimes. The families, like, they put all kinds of unrealistic expectations on the eldest child, and then the youngest children just get a pass.
What's that like?
I know, right? Side note, we're both the eldest in our families. So anyway, just saying. She said, I want to understand how you spend your working hours and ideally what you've made or are making that you're most proud of. I'm also interested in hearing your views on what's working, what's broken or substandard, and how we can be better. Please be blunt. It will help me greatly. That is
good. This is very fair.
I would, if somebody came in over me and was like this and it sounded collaborative, I would be like, oh my God, this boss gets it.
Yeah, no, to me, this sounds really, really good. And it's like, we're just going to talk about what's working, what's not working. I think this is very, very fair, what she's asking. And the fact that they're not doing it. And to me, about the being blunt, I'd rather have someone be blunt, because at least then I know they're going to be honest. I might not agree with them, but they're going to be honest about how they feel, and they're going to be up front with you. They're not going to try to sugarcoat it or try to manipulate you. If you're blunt, and plus it just cuts to the chase and saves so much damn time.
She said, I'll read all of them carefully. Okay, cool. And they will be held in the strictest of confidence, because if you're complaining about people or departments or whatever, you don't want that. I'll use your memo as a discussion guide for when I meet with most of you, ideally all of you, if time permits. Okay, and that is actually good too. In the coming few weeks, she continued, the goal is simple. I want to familiarize myself with you, and I want you to do the same with me, to know that we are aligned on achieving a shared vision for CBS News. So she is also low-key saying, if you're not going to fit with the new CBS News, I need to know now. Yeah. Right. Because I've been there too. Like I said, it's like, if you're not sharing the vision I have, then we're going to have to part ways.
Well, if you're not happy, then why stay?
Right. Weiss's request irked the Guild, which suggested CBS News staffers refrain from responding to their new boss until more information is provided. We are aware that Bari Weiss sent an email asking CBS employees to provide information about their jobs and feedback to CBS News. Many of you have expressed concern to us about the purpose of the email, and we share those concerns.
She expressed what the purpose of the email was. She was very clear what the purpose was.
So this is what gets me too. Like, where the fuck does a union get off when your boss is asking you a question? Hey,
that's a very fair question.
That is a work-related question, right? I need to know what everybody's working on. That is a work. So where the fuck did they get off being the in-between in a situation like that? Because again, historically, unions were there to negotiate better working conditions and better pay, make sure that the workers weren't abused. But it is perfectly normal and acceptable for your new boss to ask what you do exactly at the company, because
well, not just that. They said, "What are you most proud of?" Like they're probably like, well, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So we can work to everybody's strengths and weaknesses. Because you might have a couple employees who are really strong in one area and weak in others, and a couple employees that are strong in that area and weak in the same, in the area they're strong in. It's just fair to make sure everybody gets put in a position where they can do their best work. And, as you're assigning and you're overseeing, that's what I would do too.
This is why we sent the company, this is the guild, this is why we sent the company an immediate demand to provide information about the email by Monday. We suggest that you refrain from responding until we are able to share the information that we receive so you can make an informed decision by Tuesday.
There was no threat made or anything, just that, hey, let me know so we can, work together. Like, there was no one saying, oh, you're going to get canned if you don't, you know what I mean? There was no threat in this at all.
The guild requested a list of everyone who received the email from Weiss, a list of who will have access to responses provided by employees, whether responses will be the basis for discipline, discharge, or layoffs, information on what type of consequences would stem from not responding to the email. Well, if you don't do what your boss tells you to do,
she's going to look at you as being a problem and probably
you're going to be a problem.
List of, okay, fine. Yeah. If you're going to be this way, I don't have time to deal with this, because they're going to be like, look, we're going to be on deadlines. Things have to be done quickly. I need to know who can work, who can get it done, and you have to be able to do what you're told.
And they want to know whether or not CBS is going to use AI to review the emails.
They have no right to ask that.
Oh my God. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what people are like, you're anti-union. I'm like, no.
I'm anti this bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. The unions have the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. They have too much power over the employers. I'm not talking again. Unions originally, it was supposed to be like, hey, we don't have any other options. Please don't treat us like slaves.
I was mentioning this the other day, though, on the video when I was talking about Hollywood and about the AI and how they're going to have to renegotiate contracts, is the fact that the unions are trying to get into YouTube and podcasting and stuff like that. But like in Hollywood, if you don't play by the union rules, you don't get to audition. You don't get to do stuff. It's entirely too much control over this stuff. And then they're going to try to push the same rules on everybody else and try to get other people into it. And that's what's concerning. The union's there for a reason. None of this question doesn't violate anything. She's asking, like, what are you most proud of? What do you think's working? What do you think we can do better on? It's fair questions for somebody that's new coming in. It's not like, and then we need to know if you're using AI. I'm like, you don't fucking need to know that.
No.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, this is because who is your boss, right? Is it CBS News or is it the union? Because it feels to me like the union is basically leasing or subletting its employees, its people out to CBS News. But
would they be doing this if it was somebody else coming in who was far, far left and was like asking the same questions of people?
I don't think so at all. Because they said Weiss's ascension has drawn considerable media attention, plenty of scathing liberal criticism, along with John Oliver did a 34-minute segment ranting about her. And she was...
all the stuff she lies about, but they've caught John Oliver telling stuff that wasn't true too, just saying.
She was one of them. They're harder on people that were one of them that defected than again, look at Elon Musk, look at RFK Jr., they're harder on those people. Look at Tulsi Gabbard. These were all Democrats. These were all liberals for a long time, and then they defected, and they're harder on those people. I think they're going to come for Fetterman, too. I think John Fetterman's going to, they're definitely going to...
Well, when you start talking reason, then you're the enemy.
Yeah, you're supposed to just go along with, the status quo, which is you run everything through... the vetted channels, the unions, the whatever, so we can control the narrative. And that's what this whole thing is about.
You run everything through the blue lens first, people.
Yes. They're mad that they're losing a mouthpiece, and they're losing all over the place. And if things go the way I think they're going to go, I think there's a very good chance that the Ellisons are going to wind up with Warner Brothers too, or at least part of it. And one way or another, CNN is going to change forever. It's either going to be sold off, shut down, or gutted and turned into something else because it's not viable as it is.
No.
But they're so mad about this. How very dare you take our CBS News from us? It's like, well, she's the boss now. The Ellisons put her in charge. They own it. And you don't own it. And this is the problem I have with the unions now. They think they own the companies. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work that way. And there are cases, again, talking about the paper I worked at, the owner of that paper, the pressmen were going to unionize, and he sold off the printing division just so he did not have to deal with the union, because he's like, I'm not going to be in charge of my own company anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing
So-
is, it's like I am for unions when they do what they're supposed to do, but I think
When
this is
they do what
definitely
they're
an
supposed to do.
overreach. And I don't think that they'd be doing this if it was somebody they felt was like far left.
Yeah, they wouldn't be, because they would know that that person would play ball, right?
How
They'd be
dare you
like,
go back to center and not to spread
how
our
dare
fake
you go back to
narratives?
center? Yeah, so we're gonna see. So I think what's gonna happen, and again, this is my prediction in the very near future in Hollywood and in the rest of media, is that the unions will basically blow themselves up. They will make themselves unworkable. It will be a situation where it will be very adversarial and not to the advantage of the business owner to let them in at all. And they will find a way to get rid of people who are union. I think this is kind of going on at Kickstarter right now. They got rid of around the people who wanted to dictate, what could and could not be published through Kickstarter. And now they have another. So I think what they do is they let them strike, or they let the company fall flat in his face, and then they buy these people out, and they're like, "Well, see ya."
Yeah.
And then they put a job listing up the next week, like, "Oh, guys, macroeconomic circumstances, macroeconomic headwinds. I'm sorry we had to let y'all go. Here's your package. Get the hell out of our company." Then they'll go hire non-union workers like the next week.
Yeah.
Because they're paying the ass. I mean, it just is what it is. Are we going to wrap it up?
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.